Aloha and welcome to Connection to the Cosmos with your host, me, Dr. Lisa Thompson, where I have out of this world conversations with extraordinary people. And today I'm really excited to have Laura Ordile on, and we're going to bring her on in just a moment. But first, just a couple of announcements. If you have not had a chance to grab my free 20-minute meditative journey to meet your galactic family and guides, make sure you grab that on my website, mysticmanta.com or drlisajthompson.com. And if you're coming to Hawaii, come to the Big Island and see me on one of my Big Island UFO tours, where you will get to see the night sky in a whole new way using the Advanced Generation 3 military night vision goggles. And for more information on that, my website is bigislandUFOtours.com. So without further ado, I'm going to bring on Laura. Hello, Laura.
Hello, thank you.
Yeah, I'm so happy to have you here. And so let me share with our audience your bio so they understand why I'm excited for this conversation. So Laura Ordile is a certified NLP practitioner and master hypnotherapist, as well as a professional intuitive and astrologer. She uses that unique combination of skills to help you tap into the success of big changes you want in your life quickly and easily. And you get to hold on to your sanity and soul as you go. As a magical mindset mentor, she knows that when you change your mind, you'll change your life. And she does that with a mix of the practical and the woo in a way that is designed specifically for you. She lives in Montana with her family, where she enjoys the sadly short but amazingly beautiful summers. Yeah, I've been there. And watches as much Star Trek as possible to make it through the winters. Welcome, Laura.
Thanks. That's me.
I can't wait to talk to you about all of that. But first, just to give the audience a little information about your background so they understand how you got into this work. Like, how did you grow up? Spiritual, religious, something else? Tell us about that.
I think I grew up searching. My mom was raised Catholic. And then she kind of went into some different churches. And that started me on a journey. And so I was kind of brought into several different religions myself. And from that, I kind of decided I kept finding things that were outside of it. And it became bigger and bigger. And so I kind of came to a consensus that things are simpler than we think oftentimes. And so much bigger.
Yeah. Yes. Well, okay. So I'm guessing that what you're doing now is not your first career. Would I be correct in that?
No, I've had a few careers.
Okay, so I have two, and so I would love to have you walk us through that transition of like ultimately how you got to doing this work. Like, did you have yourself a major breakthrough in your own life, or what? Tell us about your career transitions.
I think intuition was one of the first things that really took me on a path. Because it was something that just showed up throughout my life. And I would know things. I would sense things. I would have dreams. That would of course come true. And so that started me exploring a little bit. And for some reason, I don't know if it was my older sisters or what it was, but I loved astrology. Right. I loved being a Gemini. And read all about it.
Okay.
So yeah, that kind of got me headed in that direction. And then I got a job at a certain point in my life after doing bookkeeping for probably 15, 20 years. I moved into a job that took me outside a lot, which was a whole different connection. And through that, I started moving more and more into the intuition, the astrology, all those fun things. And I sat down with the book one day, and I said, I need to figure this out. Is this true? Is this not true? And as I went through the book, I had some of those. Oh crap! This is true. those moments. And so that just took me down the road,
and
it spread open
into
astrology,
into
numerology,
into
into
mediumship,
into
into
all the things. And then I decided at one point I needed to have something a little practical again. And so I went into hypnosis and NLP.
Okay.
That's my practical.
Okay, well, that's funny that you call that practical, because I think people in the mainstream world would still think that those are a little outside. They're a little more of the woo. Well, okay, so there's so much to talk about. So first of all, I have a Gemini moon and a Gemini ascendant, so I'm right there with the Gemini part of you. So I just, again, because I didn't know you were going to say that, I would love to know what do you love about being a Gemini? Since you said that,
I love that it's the right thing for me
to touch
and go and move into all the different fun things.
And that I
can dive as deep as I want to.
It can be
shallow
here
and a little deeper here,
and then I can explore over here.
And that's all what I'm supposed to be doing. That's who I am.
Yeah.
And I get to talk about
all the things
and share about it. And when I'm in a room with a billion people, I can talk to just about all of them.
Yeah. And I resonate with that strongly. That's one of the reasons why I have the show. Yeah, and why I've dabbled in all the things that I have. So I love that. Okay, so I guess tell me, in terms of the NLP and the hypnosis, like in your mind, like how you thought that was like more of the tangible, practical for people, and like how do you work with people with that, and do you bring in all the aspects, or does it depend on the client?
It depends on the work that I'm doing with the client.
Okay.
And I don't know how I decided that hypnosis. It seemed very practical to me. And so I just thought that's very useful. I could do that. And that would be something that most people would find valuable because it's a healing thing. And it's very science based. It's very there's a ton of proof out there.
Mm-hmm.
That it works.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's where I came to the practical side of that.
Okay. Well, so with your hypnosis, are there specific things that you like to target with your clients, or is it pretty wide open? Because hypnosis, some people still are like, oh, I don't want to be hypnotized. Like, I don't want to be out of control. I don't want someone digging into my mind, or, things like that. And so tell us about how you work in that.
I work as a guide. I go in and basically it's like a deep relaxation.
Yeah.
And I can't make you do anything you don't want to do. You are in control in that full session. I'm just guiding. I'm allowing you to relax into a state that lets the subconscious listen better. Kind of getting the conscious mind out of the way. And the subconscious is what drives the bus. It's what takes us all around everywhere. It's what gets us where we want to go. And it's got these little GPS coordinates, I guess you'd say, entered in as how it's going to get there. And so if you want to get someplace else, it's like no. I've got directions. I'm good. Well, those directions might be from when you were 2 years old, 4 years old. All of that stuff is getting input when you're born to about 7 years old, even just before you're born. And so when you're trying to make changes now, your subconscious is trying to keep you safe. It's trying to keep you happy. That's its job. That's its job right there. And when you're making changes, it's going, I don't know. That might be a little scary. That goes against the data that I have. That's going to keep you safe and happy. So we have to go in and reprogram and change the coordinates so that then you can get where you want to go.
Okay, so when people are in your sessions, are you mainly focusing on this specific like human life and getting back to perhaps traumas in this life or childhood stuff, or have you had people go to other lives and other realms?
I've done
past life regression.
Okay.
And
taking people into other lives.
And that's always fascinating and fun to me. I love doing
that.
But a part of it is
actually going back
to the younger version of yourself.
Because what happens is,
and this can happen
all along life,
up to a few days ago, anytime in our life. We might have something that our brain considers a trauma. And so it comes out and says, I'm going to create this little part of you to deal with that. And that little part does deal with it. But then what happens is it might get stuck in that trauma.
Right.
And it stays in
that place
while you go forward.
Well,
living in constant trauma is hard.
Mm-hmm.
And it can get mad, angry, sad, upset. And so those are some things that you might feel and experience and not understand where it's coming from. Or that part of you can get so upset that it's going to sabotage you because it's upset that you're going forward without it. Does that make sense?
It does. It does.
Yeah.
Well, okay. So then when people are in these sessions with you, and I know different therapists work differently. And so for you specifically, like, can someone come to you like one session to reprogram that GPS, or does it often take multiple sessions to get that subconscious mind in line with where people want to go?
I'm going to say that
depends. It's almost always more than one session.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
kind of on me. I have had people have one session. They're done.
But
I like to make sure that it's not just a temporary thing.
That we're adjusted for the moment. I want it to be
lifelong.
Yeah.
And so it's usually a few sessions. And when I do trauma work or work with PTSD or something like that, I usually ask them to book in for about 6 to 7 sessions. Not that you'll necessarily need them all. And I do a package for that. But some people do a few sessions, they're done. They know they're fixed, they're happy, everything is integrated, cleared, and they're ready to go. Some people need a couple extra sessions. And because it's been a long time and that other part is annoyed. Let's say annoyed. And so it takes a little more negotiation to get that part to reintegrate or to just be okay. And it's amazing what gets cleared in those sessions. IBS, depression, anger, insomnia, hypervigilance, anxiety. Things. All the things.
Well,
Crazy amazing.
That is. And I mean, one of the things that I love bringing people like you on the show for is really to demonstrate that, our Western allopathic medical system gives Band-Aids where things like this actually get to the root of the issue and can make real lifelong changes. And, I've had family members struggle with depression, trauma, PTSD, anxiety, all the things. And they go to that Band-Aid without going to the root cause. And so, like for me, I understand, it's really important to really understand that you can change. We can rewire the brain. We can reprogram, right? And there are different modalities that can do that. And hypnosis is one of them. And, as a regression therapist myself, I've worked with clients and helped them. So how do you bring NLP into the work and tell people, someone's like, what's NLP? Most of our people might know, but some of them might not know. But so explain what NLP is and then how you bring that into the work as well.
NLP is neuro-linguistic programming. It's a specific way of having a conversation with subconscious.
Subconscious.
And I love NLP
because
because
it is
almost like
pure magic.
pure magic.
It's great.
It's great.
It's used in conjunction with hypnosis
because you're going to
because you're going to use some of those words and those ways that you're doing things
to
guide
along the way
during that session.
But you can have a straight up NLP
session
where
say you have a
phobia
or you have,
something
that you just need to
clear,
shame, guilt,
something like that.
You go back
to that
moment
in
your mind.
I guide you to this place and ask you some questions through that process.
And you stay there not long.
I
don't keep you in that place for a long time. But you feel the things
that you feel.
And then we clear
that.
And send it on its way,
basically.
And that is instantaneous. That happens in that moment. So by the time we're done in 30 minutes or an hour, you will still remember that incident. Maybe it was a traumatic
experience flying.
You'll remember that. But then when you think about flying, when we're done, it's just like, I remember that. But there's no emotional attachment. There's no distress. There's nothing. So you don't carry any of the physical emotions forward with you. You just carry the thought of
it was a thing.
Right. Well, so yeah, basically you're neutralizing
the
emotion, right? So yeah. And I mean, I think people don't understand how important being in that neutral place is. People are so used to being in this roller coaster ride of emotions, and we get addicted to our emotions, and we can feel our emotions without them being stuck.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So one of the things, some of my extraterrestrial groups have been speaking through me, channeling through me, is about that place of neutrality. Mm-hmm. And how important it is ultimately in terms of, like, even when we're manifesting and we want something to happen, being neutral to the outcome of that so that we can release it and it's this or something better. But I agree with you completely. I think the awareness is the places where we need to be with emotions.
We think often that we have to live and dwell and be in and these emotions. And so a lot of times people will avoid them. It's one of the things I talk about when I do a chart and talk to people about astrology. Is an awareness of your emotions and just letting them flow through you. It takes a minute or less to acknowledge the feelings you're having, which actually processes them and lets them flow through you. And then they're done. Will they come back? Maybe. But again, you just process and let them go through. It's the acknowledgement. It's like a little puppy that comes up to you and wants attention and wants attention. Until you acknowledge it, it's going to keep trying to get at you. And then you let it go lay down, rest or play or be happy. Will it come back? Maybe. Again, acknowledgement.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, and I think just to give an example of one way that NLP and some of these methods have really helped me in my life was in my young years, I had allergy asthma. So when I would eat certain foods like milk or corn, I would actually get asthma from that. And I got diagnosed at 16 by my naturopath. But her remedy wasn't like, let's try to fix this. It was just don't eat those foods. Well, milk and corn's in everything. So it wasn't very practical for me, especially as a teenager. And so once I knew that, then I could limit it. But then when I was 28, I went to a healer who one of the methods in his toolbox was NLP. And we got to what that root emotional issue was that caused the asthma. It was when I was 6 years old. And working with that technique after, and it might have worked after one session, but I went to 2 sessions just because my mother had booked me back to back with him. But after that, I could eat whatever I wanted. I never had another issue of that asthma because that, it was neutralized. It was clear. And like you said, yeah, I have a memory of my childhood and the issue that it was. but I don't have the charge on it like I did. Right. Yeah.
And the great thing with hypnosis, especially is that
I don't
I don't
have
have
to know
all of the stuff
that you experience.
You don't have
You
to
don't
do
have
all
to
the
do
talk
all the talk
therapy
therapy
stuff with me and work
and
through it and do all of that. We go in direct to where the files are, to the subconscious that knows exactly that it's in the folder that's in the folder that's in the folder.
Right.
And it says,
we
got
to deal with that.
And I don't even know
exactly
what it's dealing with unless you happen to remember it and tell me. But if you don't remember it, doesn't matter. It's still going to heal and clear. My mentor actually has a wonderful, amazing story of someone she worked with, who a gentleman had a stutter. And she worked with him through this particular process, and they went back and did some of the regression stuff and things like that. And he happened to remember that when he was teeny, like barely able to talk, and just walking around, little toddler. They were having a birthday party, and he was playing and excited and running, and he ran around the corner to get his toy, and he tripped over the tablecloth, and it pulled the cake down off of the table. And his mom was like, "Oh, kind of got upset." And he then was upset. And he was trying to tell mom, "I'm sorry, it was an accident." But he didn't have all the words.
Yeah.
And so he stuttered. And when he came out of that session, his stutter cleared. No more stuttering. And you can think now, if that happened, it might be, dang, the cake fell down, I'm so sorry, but to this little person, it was traumatic. And it stuck. And so going back and taking him to that place and integrating that old town back with him, no more stutter. That's magic.
Yeah. Well, can you give us just a couple of other examples of how you've been able to help clients just to paint that picture?
Yeah. I've stepped in and helped so many in different ways. I've helped, and I hope this is okay to say, but I've helped a woman really move to and experience her intimacy in the way that she wanted to. She had lost her husband and was struggling and with a lot of things. And that was one, was to be able to move forward and feel good about that. Cleared that up. I got a text. That was the best ever. And I mean, that's great.
Right.
So who doesn't want that?
Yeah, exactly. We're here to be human. So
I've worked with people a lot with confidence and just kind of moving past the places because for some reason they have something that's stuck and blocked, and just kind of can't get the momentum that they want in their life. And so we work together and open that up. And they clear actual physical things. IBS, insomnia, anxiety goes away. Some of the things that just kind of come along. It's like, oh gosh, I feel good. And I had this going on, but I didn't even realize it's cleared now too. So it doesn't only clear the things sometimes that people come and tell me. It clears things that they don't tell me.
Okay, right. Well, so then how do you bring in astrology and other things then into your business? Or are they like separate clients? People come to you specifically like, oh, I need my astrology reading done, or I want hypnosis done, or do you combine them all?
Yes.
All of that. Okay.
If I'm working with someone and actually coaching them, helping them, I absolutely want to do the astrology part. We do that first because I want people to know how incredible they are and how to use that in the world. Because we get told so often that there are parts of us that are not right. You know, people with a lot of fire get told you're too much. You're too blunt. You're too whatever.
I resemble that too. I'm a Sag. in my 10. So yeah, people, and I have all fire and air in my chart. So
yeah. And the air people are, oh my God, do you talk always? Or do you ever be quiet? Do you listen to anything I say? And then you get the water people who are like, oh my gosh, you're so sensitive. Or the Scorpios, you're so intense. And they're beautiful, magical. One of the things I love about water signs, and especially Scorpio. If you've ever seen those pictures that are really clear underwater pictures, and they are really clear up, and that's exactly what a Scorpio and other water signs, especially Scorpios, they see life like that, death, sex, all the interesting deep dark things. It's very clear to them, and beautiful. And they can see it in a way that so many other people can't, because the rest of us are up on the water looking and going, dang, that's dark, that's murky. I don't know. And so when they realize, oh my gosh, you're right. I do see it like that. But people get weirded out. Well, show them a tiny part. Talk to them about a tiny part, because you're way deep down here and they can't see it. So if you show them just a little at a time, they'll see how beautiful it is. And they just love knowing that they have this great part of them that's there. And if I can do that for someone, yes, that's so exciting.
Yeah. Well, I've never heard that description of a Scorpio before. So I love that imagery, because, you know, I'm a former marine biologist and I snorkel all the time here in Hawaii. And so, so I always have, and I used to scuba dive too, but so I totally get that analogy. Yeah, they do. And you have to remember too, that especially someone who has a fair amount of water in their chart. If you think about being at the beach, you know how you get in the waves, and you're getting beat up and all that. Well, they're getting that from all sides, and they have to learn how to kind of navigate that. So once you figure out that you can dive under the wave, or you can ride it in, you can work with it, all of that. You can function a lot better in that. And they have to learn that in life with their emotions. That's their emotion. And so once they do that, they're like, oh, okay, I got this. And it's pretty incredible. And we all have parts of our chart that might pull us apart, pull us in different directions. I really love the detail of something, but I really like the big picture. So how do I bring those together? Because I feel like I'm pulling in different directions. But you can. You can be at the party. Know that the party's running well, doing everything good, and you can go talk to all the people. And it's still going to run okay. And there's both parts of you at play there. They don't have to fight. They can work together. So when people are coming to you for astrology, like, are you doing just a basic chart reading? Do you help them like figure out timing of things? Because I know some people are like, okay, let's, if you're going to start a business, or you're going to do this in your business, or any kind of personal stuff, like, is it more future oriented, or just like, here is who you are? It's a little bit of both. It's a little bit of both. I show them first who they are, how to function in the world in the best way possible to get where you want to go, to make it as easy as possible, and it's fun. And through that, I'm going to look at the influences that are going on right now, and what's coming, and how to navigate that in the way that's going to work best for you. So that if you know that you have big changes coming in your financial world, or in that foundational part of yourself, here's the best use of your energy to kind of balance that out and work with it. One of my favorite things to work with, because it is very much in the now and what's coming, is the progress moon. Because it tells us where our heart is right now, and what might be influencing us. If your progress moon is in the second house or in Taurus, you might see a change in your home, which would mean moving or redoing.
your whole home.
And
when it's so funny, when I say, you might be feeling like this, or this is happening, people are like, oh my gosh, I just started that process. Just doing that. And so it's almost always very on point. And when they understand what's happening, then they can lean into it and really play with it and work with it. Instead of kind of fighting against it. Why am I doing that? What's going on?
Yeah. Well, so working with individuals, do you also ever explore looking at what's going on in our world as a collective, or do you just try to maintain it to the individual?
I share some as a collective. A little bit, but I don't dig into that super deep.
Yeah.
I will say that Neptune's been going through Pisces. So as the collective, as the human beings that we are, that means for us that there's this wide open space in the veil where we can tap on all the incredible things. And that's going to be like a download for us. That's going to be something that we kind of have a foot in the door and have such a clear view of. Whether it is like what you do with some of the alien things, with astrology, with mediumship, with whatever it is that fascinates you, tap on it. Say yes to it. Because then it kind of goes into your library for you to access later. The people that don't do it, that are just kind of have their blinders on and they're going on and on, like I'm not that interested there. Yeah, sure, they'll be able to tap into it, but it won't be as clear a channel. It won't be as much of a connection. So as a universal being right now, you can tap into that, and it's going to carry you through life in an amazing way.
Okay, well, that's a beautiful message. Now, one of the things that's the big talk of the astrology world, at least in like all of the astrologers I've had on the show and even summits I've been on for predictions, this concept that we are now in the age of Aquarius, and doing a little backtrack into Capricorn, but then going forward into Aquarius. Do you have perspective on what that means for us to be in the age of Aquarius? Without scaring people.
I don't think it's scary at all.
I know some people are like, "Oh my God, everything's crumbling," but
no.
Yeah, share your perspective on that.
I think it's a breath of fresh air. Like Pluto is one of the planets that's moving from Capricorn to Aquarius. And that is going to be like lifting a ton of bricks off your shoulder. Because we've been for 30 years in this place of this underlying energy. Get it done. Get out there, get it done. Do the thing. Push hard. And now Aquarius is coming into Aquarius and it's going into an air sign, and one that likes to be out there and be a little freaky and be a little wild and tap into the quantum field and the quantum science and the quantum jumping and everything. And so it's much more fun. It's like, this is cool. And this is so much, the energy is so much lighter. And so for me, I think that's great.
I love that, because that's actually maybe the first time that I've heard it shared in that way. So, because I think all the other people that I've heard talk about it, like the last time we were in Aquarius was during the French Revolution and like massive changes, crumbling of systems. And that is, I see that going on in our world, but I also feel like it needs to. And that doesn't mean that it has to necessarily be hard or scary. But I love that, let's jump into the quantum world. I mean, the more that quantum mechanics is becoming like more of a household word or idea, because it's been so fringe for so long, that I appreciate that.
And I think it's so many things are just opening up, and it's going to be so much
more
acceptable and kind of spun around in the circles and networking and everything. A lot of what you do. Look, it's coming into Congress. It's coming into the open and being talked about more and more. And I think that's a lot of what is going to happen. When they're talking about revolutions and changes, that doesn't mean struggles or it means change. And it can be wonderful change and an opening of the eyes, opening of adventures. And think about too in the science field when new things look at AI and the things that are coming there. And I know we all think, oh my gosh, total destruction, Terminator and all those things. But they probably thought about that with the car and the cell phones and the computers and all those things. The world's going to hell. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that.
You can say whatever you want.
Yeah. But it takes us in leaps and bounds of opening the doors to more possibility. And I think that's what Aquarius does for us, is it opens the doors to possibilities.
Okay. And so everyone listening or watching, take that in. If you've heard other information, just, let it be adventurous. For me, you're speaking my language there. Again, as a Sag and Gemini, like I love adventure. I love new things like that. So I really appreciate that framing.
Yeah.
So as far as, you had mentioned earlier that you actually do mediumship too. Is that something you do with clients?
It's something I've been working on. I've been doing it just on a let me practice basis.
Okay, yeah.
So I've done that, and I've been mentoring with someone for a good while. And it was something that I had this little argument with myself and my team and all this. and I went down the road one time. I worked outside at this point in my other lifetime. And I was just trying to find the way. Do I do this? Do I not do this? I don't know what to do. And so I was driving by myself in the backcountry. I live in Montana. And I just was having this out loud conversation. I have to have a decision. I have to find a way. I need a sign. If anybody saw me, it's a good thing we have cell phones because I was all over the place. And I said, all right, I need a sign. And here's the sign. And I said, I need to see a moose. And not just a moose, a big bullwinkle moose. Which is very doable. It's not common, but it's very doable.
Yeah.
And so I thought, okay. And so I had my little temper tantrum, and then I went on moving. And driving, and I kind of got down around another area. Pulled over and just took a break. And so I got on my phone. For a few minutes. I was exploring, as you do. Scroll. And one thing leads to another, and then I went to this place. And all of a sudden, up pops this big picture of this bullwinkle moose. And it says on it, "Don't take yourself so seriously." Seriously. And I was like, oh.
Well.
So I stepped in. And it's been a fun journey. And I did it just for myself. Because at that point, I didn't feel like I needed another skill. I have a lot of skills. Yeah. But I felt like I was kind of leaning into it. And so instead of justifying it as that would be something I can do. I said, you know what? If I'm going to do it, I'm just going to do it for me. And that's going to be enough. Mm-hmm. And so that's what I've done.
Okay. Well, and number one, first of all, I love the moose story because I think a lot of people would be, okay, you live in Montana, there are moose that live there, right? And however, people would take that literally like, I need to see a physical moose in front of me in person in real life. But it's just as powerful as if it comes across your screen. That is still you asking and receiving that sign. Mm-hmm. And I've had the same thing when I was taking my psychic intuition class. We were supposed to we had one exercise where we were supposed to ask for a very specific sign. And so I asked for a frog. And again, I lived in Washington State at the time. There are frogs, but, you know, not all over the place where they're always in my face. And, you know, within a few hours of specifically asking for the frog, again, it was on my phone. It was on my screen that frog came across. And so that counts, people. It counts. So
it absolutely counts.
Yeah.
Another time I had to make a decision.
And I said, give me this if it's a yes, or give me this if it's a no. And it was a serious decision. And I was going back and forth. My yes was a purple feather.
Okay.
And I said, not like a silly. Give me a true, not necessarily in person, but I want to know that it's an actual purple feather.
Right.
And so I was cruising along in my day,
and
I got an email from another intuitive, and it said something to the effect of something about signs. And of course, I was in this sign mode. Yeah. And so I was like, okay, let's see what she says. Let's see what she says about signs. And so I opened it up, and she tells the story about a duck and a rubber duck and seeing her sign on like a shower curtain. And then she says, and then there was this other story about a purple feather. Oh wait, you got to be freaking kidding me.
I know. You can't
with the picture and everything.
Right? You cannot make that up.
I was just like, okay.
All right.
Yes. So, I mean, what I love about this conversation, and again, some people, I think they don't necessarily understand or appreciate how signs might come to them, but also when we're asking for the signs, how they might show up. And be paying attention and be open to how it might appear, right? And so now, as far as the way that you get information intuitively, which of the clairs do you have really enhanced, since there are so many different ways to get that information?
Well, I would say for me it comes through knowing and visual.
Okay.
Those are my biggest ones. I always say intuition is our first sense, not our sixth sense. Because intuition kicks in, and then it uses all the senses to give us the information. And I practice with all of them, so I get better at it. But I do lean into just knowing and visualizing.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so part of your bio is, you're talking about being a huge Star Trek fan. And so I don't know if you are aware of this, but Star Trek is really supposed to be based on real things that are going on. There really are galactic federations. The prime directive of you can't interfere with a developing society or civilization really is kind of put in place. So what is your experience with Star Trek and why that fascination?
I think it's hilarious that I love Star Trek because I remember being a kid and really not liking it. I was annoyed because I had an uncle at the time who really liked it. But it came on at the same time as I think the Flintstones.
Right.
And I wanted to watch the Flintstones. and so stupid Star Trek. But somehow with the next generation I think came out. And it was just at the right time. And of course I was at this point grown and learning to live in the magical world, all the fun stuff and everything. And so I started watching it. And along the process I just fell in love with all of it because there's hope in it. There's I think some reality, some not. But there's conflict. There's interaction. There's misunderstanding. There's working it out. There's all the things that we experience in life in a way that says it can still go on. Even if we're out interacting with whoever's out there, whatever's out there. It can still be a good experience. And I think
And I
that's
think
a lot
that's
of
a
what I
lot of
love
what I
about it.
love about it.
And it just, I mean, it's just fun. I love fun.
I love fun.
Yeah.
And they're interesting
interesting
people, and they
have
all of these interesting things that
happen
and all different
perspectives.
And
And
I think it shows
too
that
that
we can have
such huge differences
and still
do well together.
Yeah. Well, and that's a message that I feel like we really need to be embracing, or could be embracing better here on Earth. Yeah.
Oh, yes.
And that's also a lot of what's coming through my different ET groups is like, get out of the polarity, stop judging each other, understand each other's perspectives and appreciate them. And all things can exist, but, just see that from that higher perspective.
Yeah.
And we can
all have our own perspectives
and let it be okay.
And no one person
is more important than another.
And I'm probably going to go against the grain a little here. But you're not more special than anyone else. You're special in your own right. You're special and wonderful in who you are. And use that and put that out into the world.
Mm-hmm.
And let people see that. And then the other people can say, "Oh, I like that part of it. Maybe I don't like that part." And it's okay that I don't like that part.
Yes.
And then the other person has to be okay that they don't like that part. You can't just say, "Oh, no, you have to like that part too."
Right.
It's okay to not like every part of everything.
It is. It is. So. I have fully stepped into that in my later years as an adult in terms of like, I am not everybody's cup of tea or coffee, and that's okay. And I do have a lot to provide to the world, and not everyone's going to resonate with that. And that's okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, so being that you're in Montana, where you have, clear open skies and all of that, I'm just curious if you've ever had any incidents where you think you might have seen some kind of spacecraft or any kind of phenomena like that.
Not so much now. Just because I'm old and I'm in the house when it's dark. But I do remember as a kid having that experience. I grew up in Las Vegas, actually.
Okay.
And I was I think I was out helping a friend deliver newspapers. So you had to do that like 4 or 5 in the morning. And so we were up and out and everything's quiet. And I specifically remember looking up and seeing something that didn't fit. And the pattern of it and the way that it moved was very different. And I as a kid, it's just like, ooh, that's interesting. That's cool. And then you don't know for a minute. Oh, am I supposed to be afraid? Or is this supposed to think it's cool? And I just went with cool.
Okay. Well, and that's a really interesting kind of like, which way does my mind want to perceive this experience? And I think often people go to, oh, it's scary. I got to perceive it as scary because I don't know what it is. But I love that you went to, oh, yeah, it's cool. So.
Well, and there's so much different.
And that's one of the things I love about Star Trek too.
Is it makes it cool.
It makes it fun and interesting.
And not everyone's out to beat you up and kill you, obliterate the planet. Yes, they absolutely have those versions out there. I think I'm watching a show right now called Invasion, and it's not going so well.
Okay.
With the invasion.
Somewhat yesterday, that show got brought up to me by one of my friends. She's like, "Oh my God, you have to see the show Invasion." I'm like, are they showing a fear-based narrative?
Yeah.
And she's like,
yes.
Well, yeah, they're invading. And I'm like, yeah, I don't do that.
Yeah.
I don't watch those kinds of things.
No, and it's
No,
but
and it's but the one part I love in those even
is that the people are prevailing and the people are surviving and they're forming these relationships and things, and so that's kind of why. And I'm hoping that maybe somewhere along the line, they're actually some of the communications that's happening is good between like this one person and a certain version of the entity. And so I'm hoping it's going to come out good.
Okay.
But we have those fear-based ones. You know,
what was it? Fourth
Independence Day.
Yeah. They're
and all those.
But Star Trek,
Star Wars. That
they have the ones in them that
invade or try to have the war people just like on Earth. You know, everyone's speaking control.
Yeah.
But there's so many different versions of everyone, everything that's functioning, working together, and having a good time, and trying to find the right way. And I love that.
Okay. Well, that's a beautiful way to end that part. So in our last just very little bit of time together here, I would love for you to share anything else that you want the audience to know about you or your work, and then how they can find you as well.
Well, I'm here
to help.
I'm here to guide you.
I'm here to guide you.
I'm here to get you to the place you want to be in the quickest, easiest, most complete way possible. And you can find me all over under Laura Ordile, Ordile, on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. That's my website. And I have a podcast called the Change Gang Podcast.
What's that one about? What do you talk about?
It's all about change,
and about some of its practical and ways to move through it and help you
make the changes. Sometimes it's small, tiny adjustments in how we think to open things up, to move forward, to allow us to be where we want to be. And bringing in the woo. Sometimes I talk about astrology. I talk about mediumship. I talk about oracle cards. All the fun stuff.
Okay, excellent. Well, Laura, I really appreciated having you on in this conversation. And again, lauraordile.com, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So if you are anyone listening or watching interested in, and real quick, just because it might come up as a question in people's minds, like, well, can you do hypnosis like remotely, or do you have to be in person?
No. I do all my work on Zoom.
Okay. So there you go, people. So you can sign up for sessions, do some massive change, some healing, get your astrology chart done. And for those of you listening or watching, thank you so much for being on. And again, thank you, Laura, for being here with me. And I'll see you next time on Connection to the Cosmos. Aloha.